All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting for the Conservation Commission Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency regular meeting for August 4th, 2026 to order. Yes. Allison, would you like to sit for Michael? All right. All right. Approval of the minutes. We have three sets of minutes, one from July 7th, one from July 13th, and one from July 21st. They were in the Dropbox this time, so did everyone have a chance to look at them? Does anyone have any corrections or alterations? Do we have a motion to approve? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have no applications for public hearings, so we'll move on to item 5, applications for vote. Application CC number 26-11 of Michael Medeiros, owner and applicant for a wetlands permit to construct a single-family home in the upland review area of 30 Riverside Road, assessor's map, block lot H 12-107-030, zone R15.
So on July 21st, this activity was determined non-significant for a single-family home on Riverside. If you'll recall, it was associated with a map amendment for the wetland soils because there were no soils found on the site. The site plan submitted shows the septic system, the home, the silt fencing, as well as where the proposed stockpile is. So tonight is the official vote on it if there are no further discussion.
Do you have any questions on this application? I can't tell from the air photo, but are there any invasive plant species on the site?
So there's the photo of the front of it, but we can say on the condition removal and
of
planting of natives.
And
Yes.
encourage the planting of natives,
Yes.
as we do with all our applications.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an item too.
Oh, yep. That was number 2. There's a motion at your dais.
And, speaking of that, it says native planters will be planted and invasive species will remove property. Could we change that to 2 sentences?
So yes.
Native will be
Yep.
planted, invasive species will be removed so it's not connected.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? All right, I'd entertain a motion, which we have before us.
Okay, moved the Conservation Commission approves application CC 26-11 of Michael Medeiros, owner and applicant, for a wetlands permit to construct a single-family home in the upland review area at 30 Riverside Road, assessor's map, block lot H12-107-130, zone R15, based on the following findings. Short-term impacts from the proposed activity will be controlled by installation and maintenance of erosion and sediment controls, and subject to the following conditions as listed in the motion.
And amended to
With the chair's amendment. Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. All right, thank you. So moving on to conservation business, we have a referral from Zoning Commission. The Zoning Commission's number 26-18, an application for the Dorset Crossing LLC owner Dwight Merriam, agent pursuant to Section 8 of the zoning regulations for a zone change and amendment to the master development plan to allow a car wash facility at 10 Dorset Crossing, assessor's map, block lot I-04-403, 13C-F, Planned Development Area, PAD Zone.
Just a few thoughts before the applicant presents. So this, as mentioned, is a planned area development application. It includes 2 applications. One, the amendment to allow the use on the pad, as well as a site plan associated with it. It originates with the Zoning Commission. Then the Zoning Commission, as part of the pad approval process, refers it to a number of land use agencies, Conservation Commission being one of them. So you will make there's not clear language on the, if you have to make a positive referral, negative referral, suggestions, conditions, but there should be something, a motion of some sort at the end about what you want to pass on to the zoning commission.
Did they have a specific question that they wanted us to address?
Nope, no, it was all environmental matters for the site.
And I know that the zoning commission is the aquifer protection group.
They are, yes, but yes, it was not, it's not considered a regulated activity under the Aquifer Protection
Because the
Act.
wastewater is going to be contained
Because the wastewater is
within
going
the
to-
facility, and
yes.
it's going to be sent to the waste treatment plant.
Yes, correct.
And the waste treatment plant's fine with that?
Yes, they were
Right,
just,
we had letters
that
on
was,
saying
yes,
that.
yes.
And the chemicals that are coming off the waste treatment plant. I know there's concern from the public about the water that might be dripping off the cars after they're cleaned.
Yep, yep.
Which probably would be cleaner than the water that's coming off the cars when they're just driving down the street.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any concern, is there any, on the site plan, is there any water? I don't know how much water would be there, but is it going to a swale or?
Right. I'm going to have the
Vegetation.
applicant present on those very questions.
All right, good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Dwight Merriam. I'm a resident and lawyer here in town, working on my house at 80 Latimer Lane. In this latest and probably last chapter of my career as a lawyer, which I love. And I'll sit down here in a minute, but let me first apologize to the audience again for turning my back on them. We've seen many of these folks. This is now our 8th meeting on this project. No sending it back, but we had a pre-application meeting with design review and with zoning. Then we had a preliminary meeting with planning, design review, and zoning. And then we had the last meeting, which is the formal application, which is now on reference to you. And as staff said, this is a referral on the master plan. The hearing is closed, but they are going to deliberate on September 9th. And the site plan remains open. We've heard from the public. We have an idea what their concerns are. We know what your jurisdiction is. And 4 issues we're going to address, and we expect there'll be more questions and comments beyond that. But our water supply, is Aquarion giving water to this project going to diminish the water to these residents? Second, what about the carryout, so-called carryout water? Everything that's contained in the building is treated before it's discharged into the publicly owned treatment works. Outside the building, what has gone on? And we've done very deep research on that, and we're confident of what everyone else is doing. And deep, if you've had an opportunity to read the voluminous information I've given you, because it was a real concern of the public, and you can't blame them for being concerned. But the fact is that that water is treated as basically stormwater in a parking lot. The 2 other issues, a couple of people during these proceedings have talked about sound. We've engaged a top-notch acoustic engineer, someone actually that worked with me when I was in the Navy, and he was a civilian contractor, and I was doing undersea warfare down in New London. And he's working with us to make sure that we comply with the state. And lighting. We're not only going to comply with the lighting, but we know it's important in terms of the flora and fauna to minimize it. We're using dark sky compliant luminaires throughout and a lighting plan that's consistent with that. So let me give you a copy of the presentation we're going to make, so you can have a hard copy in front of you. I know you have it electronically. I probably gave too many on that side. So
All right, good.
can I borrow your clicker here or whatever? Thank you. So here are the presenters, so you know who our people are here. I'm Dwight Merriam. Brandon has the bulk of the presentation. We know you want to stay within 30 minutes. We're going to try to do this in 20 minutes. Mark DeVos here from Plainville, because he had an application almost exactly the same as this a year ago. And he was involved in the document prepared by DEEP on management of stormwater and aquifer protection area. He's cited in that manual. and he has experience as the planner in Plainville. And we have a couple of minutes from him. Biff is going to talk about landscaping, one of the really good things that we've been able to do at the urging of the zoning commission chairman, I've got to say, is go to 100% native plants. It's a little hard to do, but we've done it. We've got 100% native plants. Plato Dudulakis is here to answer questions if they're beyond us to answer, but I think Brandon Hanfield will have all of that for you, and the developer and one of his sons is here. The applicant is the property owner, the developer is the contract purchaser. And here's our schedule. I've already breached my 1 minute. And here's where the site is. You know where it is, right? At Dorset Crossing Drive, on that corner. It was already approved for a pharmacy. And this project is an enormous improvement over that in terms of reduced land coverage, greatly reduced parking, greatly increased from 6 or 9 feet setbacks to 50 feet. Here's the corner as you go in where this car wash will be sited. It's part of the PAD. It's that blue star. The PAD is that color all under PAD, and the areas around it are zoned for business. You know, it's just north of the Big Y and the other developments that are going on there. So with that, Brandon has the lion's share of the presentation. I'll turn to him now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. For the record, my name is Brandon Hanfield. I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of Connecticut with Yannick River Consultants located in Lebanon. I will try to be as brief as possible and give you the information that we think is relative to your commission. So I'll start with trying to figure out the clicker. And again, this is our site here, outlined in orange. The existing medical office and mixed-use building is here. Outlined in orange would be Lot F. Lot F was recently approved for mixed-use retail. Originally was approved, I believe, for a Walgreens or a drive-through pharmacy. This is our.
Is everyone here okay? Okay.
I'll try to speak. Is this actually a microphone?
Let's switch this one.
Let's try. Is that any better? Yeah, that is definitely better. All right, so our site layout, very quickly, the 7,500 square foot building there, plus or minus, is located in the center of our lot. Main access will be off an existing driveway right here that serves the medical office out back. North is up, and then Hot Meadow Street is to our right. The facility itself has 3 different wash bays. So it has the automatic tunnel in the center, that's 125 feet long, has a touchless tunnel to the north of that, and then furthest to the north are 2 self-service bays. In the bottom left or south is our 3 detail bays, and here's the equipment room and then a small office. In terms of circulation, again, access from the existing driveway, everything is counterclockwise. The main automatic tunnel has two queuing lanes here through a pay station that serves only the automatic tunnel. Everywhere else has pay stations either within the bays or just outside right there. Getting to the main part of the presentation is our grading and drainage plan. Before I get into the proposed drainage, I will get into the existing drainage. So again, it's part of a PAD. I believe it was 2012 or 2013 when it was originally approved and started construction. As part of that, Dorset Crossing was constructed, this driveway and the building up here and all this parking you see in this area here. As part of that, they installed drainage for Dorset Crossing, and most of that drainage is located on this site. So right here you have an underground, it's called a retain-it system. It is a lined system with a Durascrim liner, so it does not infiltrate. It simply just stores stormwater. And that collects stormwater from Dorset Crossing here all the way up to about here, and I'll show you that in a minute. As well as this catch basin here, here, and here. Those catch basins all currently exist on the site. They're kind of just floating out in the middle of the lawn. There is also a treatment structure right there. That is a contact structure that is a hydrodynamic separator designed to treat the water quality flow from all the impervious surfaces in the watershed draining to it which again includes part of Dorset Crossing Drive and what was planned for development here. So all of that stormwater exists on our site. In terms of our proposed stormwater system, we are keeping that existing system. So this catch basin stays, this catch basin stays, all of these structures stay, the underground system stays. There's also a catch basin here. So all of these go into this system. This single catch basin here goes west. And I will just click to the next slide so you can see what that means. So this is the drainage area map that was prepared for the original PAD. And what you see in green is the watershed that drains to the west. So again, there's a catch basin there that actually drains into this system, and it enters what's called water quality basin number 3. That is system number 1. So half of our site drains west, and then in blue is system number 2. What you see in blue includes Dorset Crossing and the southeastern corner of the site. That drains to that underground system in magenta there. So that area in blue, part of our site, Dorset Crossing drains here. And then the last system is system number 3. That system basically is the new system that was put in the DOT road in Hot Meadow that takes stormwater from system 2. So blue drains into teal, and it heads south about 700 feet where it discharges to, and I don't remember the name of the brook, it starts with an S, I apologize. Let's see, thank you. That is it, Saxton Brook. I will say water quality basin number 3 also discharges into Saxton Brook on the south side. So half of our site drains west into water quality basin 3, eventually enters Saxton Brook. Half of our site drains east and then south to a collection system and enters Saxton Brook. This is the proposed overlay of our site with the original mapping and the original development, just for visual representation. So that you can see the drainage areas are basically the same. Very, very minor differences based on the grading. So we have the northwest corner of our site still draining west to water quality basin number 3. And we have the southeast corner of our site still draining through that underground system into the system that goes down Hot Meadow Street to the south. In terms of the stormwater design, we tried to match the drainage patterns as much as possible. There is a reduction in impervious surfaces from the original approved development. And on top of that, the guidance we have always used, which is the Stormwater Quality Manual, was updated in 2023. It's become more stringent. Mainly, the water quality volume went from 1 inch to 1.3. So the volume we have to treat and the flow we have to treat has increased. So what we did is we contacted the original manufacturer of the existing treatment structure on our site, ran our new calculations through it, and confirmed that that existing stormwater treatment structure has the capacity to handle the increased water quality flow from our site in accordance with the 2023 manual. In terms of what goes west here, 2 things happen. The first, and back to our grading drainage plan, the entire roof of the building and all the gutters are connected to roof leaders, and they discharge to a new underground system here. Clean roof water is allowed to be infiltrated within the aquifer area, and we didn't just retain and infiltrate the water quality volume. We're actually retaining the calculated volume for every storm up to the 100-year. So in essence, any rainfall that falls on top of the building and the small vegetated island outside of it discharges to the underground system and infiltrates. It does not discharge to the west. It infiltrates. So all we're left with is this paved area here and this paved area here. And what we did is analyze that versus the original design. And it does have peak flow rates that are equal to or less than the original design. Again, that is a water quality basin designed to treat the flow and retain it, again, to the west by that existing apartment development. On top of that, the catch basins that do receive overland flow, the new catch basins, will be installed as basically small oil water separators. They're called deep sump catch basins. They have 48-inch deep sumps. They also have a hood. So the hood provides retention of the floatables and oils, and the sump provides retention for the sediment. So we did add that here and here, and I will note now that in conversations with the engineer, even though all of our carryout water, and this is a good segue, all of our exit lanes are here from the wash bays, and the grading is designed to go into this catch basin. As a belts and suspenders, we are going to convert that basin to a deep sump hood as well. So all of the catch basins that go to the west towards that water quality basin will be fitted with the hood and the deep sump to provide kind of a belts and suspenders approach. Very small drainage areas, and in this situation, a deep sump is suitable for the small drainage areas that go to them. So long story short, outside of the building for stormwater runoff, we comply with the 2023 Stormwater Quality Manual, and we meet the intent of the original PAD design. So going to get through these, this is our utility plan. I won't spend too much time, but I will focus on the water supply. There are 2 stubs, so there's a water main here. That's a 12-inch that was installed for this development. It circles all the way around, comes back as an 8-inch, and goes back out to Hot Meadow. So there's water mains to the south and north. When they built the site, they put in 2 stubs, one 6-inch, one 4-inch water stub right here. Again, that was originally for a Walgreens or a pharmacy. We are connecting into one of them. We don't need fire suppression, so we have a 4-inch domestic line on this site available to us, and we're connecting to that into our water supply system. In terms of consumption, we have submitted, it's been probably close to 7 weeks since we submitted to Aquarian our consumption estimate, and we estimated flows for this based on an existing car wash facility and meter readings for 18 months. We applied a growth factor to that as well as a factor of safety, which inflated our numbers. It does not account for any reclamation or recycling, and it was 32,000 gallons a day. Those numbers will go down when we start to design our recycling. We submitted that number to Aquarian. We heard back last Monday, and I apologize for the delay, but I was on vacation. We heard back last Monday that they wanted us to resubmit with the reclamation and recycling numbers incorporated, so it is a lower number. So we've engaged the car wash design company, the manufacturer, as well as an MEP engineer to evaluate the reduction in flow based on what the recycling system can do. And that gets me to what the recycling system is. So all of the wash water from the touchless and the automatic bays here flow into a system of a series of tanks. There's oil water separators as well as 2 or 3 other tanks depending on the system. They filter out the sediments, they filter out the floatables, oils, and it gets to the last tank, and there's a pump in there. And that pump recharges the car wash system, and there's varying amounts of percentages that the water will be reduced. We have been using 30 to 40% as an average for the entire facility, so that 32,000 would be 30 or 40% lower. There are systems that can accomplish 55% based on the wash cycle, and we have data, or depending on the company, that it could be even higher. So we have to select the manufacturer and use their proprietary design to come up with those calculations. So that's why we've hired the MEP. So in short, the number itself, and I lost my green dot, I apologize, there it is. The number itself will not be 32,000 gallons a day. It'll be at least 30% lower, if not closer to 50. So we will be submitting that to Aquarian, and we hope to get that will serve letter that everybody so wants. But that's where we stand. We are in communication with them. They've never said you can't do it. The water's on our site. It's a 4-inch pipe. They've told us we'll give you a 1.5-inch meter with a 2-inch pipe because that's what car washes need. So they've told us we can connect. They've told us what size meter they'll give us. They've told us the service size on site's too big. We have data on the fire hydrants that exist there is a tremendous amount of flow and pressure in that system that would be suitable for a typical car wash. We need the ladder. All right, erosion sedimentation controls. I think that's pertinent to our design. The site is relatively flat and currently grass. The main thing here is making sure that our construction stormwater does not get in those existing catch basins. So we made a concerted effort to make sure there's a sizable siltation trap along the southerly border, so all the flow goes north to south, and it will be collected in those siltation areas, which will allow the sediments to fall out before it's discharged. And the discharge point here will have appropriate filters for that water that comes out. And just for the record, it does comply with the 2023 guidelines, erosion control and sedimentation guidelines. Lighting, I believe Dwight spoke about it. This is our lighting plan. There's 12 fixtures. They're 15 feet high. The fixtures themselves are full cutoff and dark sky compliant at 3,000 Kelvin. The light color we have selected is 3,000. And this gives you a general demonstration of the lighting on the site. So the brighter the yellow, the brighter the pavement will be. You can see we tried to focus the lighting around the building and the main circulation areas. And as we get to the property lines, we have less than 0.5 foot candles on the ground level. In my analysis, there's a little bit of creep there, but again, this is part of a PAD. So this was a common development, including driveways, utilities, and lighting. So there are light fixtures here, here, and here that light up the driveway and the adjacent property that are actually on this property. So achieving 0.5 foot candles over common boundary lines is quite difficult when we have lights shining on another property for us. The lights themselves will turn off or be reduced in power by 75% when the facility is closed. I don't have the hours on me, but I believe the main tunnel operates 7 to 7, and the touchless and self-serves will be open 2 hours earlier and 4 hours later. So there will still be lights when the automatic tunnel is closed, but after 11 p.m. the lights will turn off or go to 25% of the power output.
So it will be, most of the site will be 75% reproduced except for the self-serve lanes?
No, the entire site after it's closed will go down 75%.
So that's after 11?
After 11.
Okay.
And then we're working with Apex now on a design where they can go down, and when if someone comes on the site to use those facilities, they're not manned,
Yeah.
the lights will turn.
Okay, so the motion sensor?
So a motion sensor with a timer on it that would dim it back down.
Okay, good.
So we are working with Sylvia Perdikis on that now to try to incorporate those controls into them, and I believe they're Bluetooth controlled. Last item I will touch on is the aquifer protection. Again, car washes are on the list of regulated activities unless they are connected to a publicly owned treatment works. We will be connected to a publicly owned treatment works. So all of the processed wastewater associated with the car wash that's conducted indoors will discharge through the treatment system. Any excess flow will discharge to the sewer. So all we're left with, and the regulations right here, regulated activity, and G under 35, again, says cars or truck washing is regulated unless wastewaters, and I'll say all wastewaters from such activity are disposed. So the carryout was discussed at numerous meetings, and we have reached out to DEEP to get clarification because they obviously wrote this regulation, and carryout water or drip water as the car exits the facility is just part of a car wash. It's what happens. So we contacted them to get clarification, and I got initial feedback that it's not a question that's been asked before. And after further review, Attorney Merriam had communications with them when I was on vacation, and they provided us more clarification. I think it's in the packet. The email response that they provided to us, that they specifically said that the wastewater are processed wastewaters that are conducted inside of the building to wash the vehicle. There's As long as those processed wastewaters are collected and discharged to the sewer, that complies. In terms of the carryout water, and I will paraphrase, or actually I'll take it out so I don't paraphrase and I don't get misquoted. Yeah, wastewater generated inside the building as part of the vehicle washing process is considered processed wastewater, industrial wastewater, and a regulated waste stream. That's what gets discharged to the sewer. And Plato is here, he can speak more about the permitting side of that, but there will be DEP permits associated with this facility, and that water will be tested, that goes to the sewer. The incidental vehicle rinse water that drips off after the vehicle exits the wash building, which is treated as incidental contact water, not processed wastewater, and not a prohibited wastewater discharge when it reaches the ground outside. That's from the DEP environmental analyst too.
This is a copy of that correspondence.
So what they've confirmed for us is that the water that's coming off the vehicle as it exits the building is not processed wastewater by their definition, and is treated as stormwater. And I already went through at length our stormwater system. It's already designed with necessary treatment in accordance with their guidelines. We put on the additional hoods and deep sumps so that should this water run off into those catch basins, there's a source right there where it's collected and treated. And then it also gets to the treatment system that was designed as part of the PAD. I don't know if I did 15 minutes, but I will go to Mr. DeVoe. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have a question.
Sure.
The water from the various hydrodynamic separators goes to the storm sewer. It doesn't go to the treatment plant.
That's correct.
Yes.
Nothing outside goes to the sewer.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify. So the Chairwoman, you had asked about whether the WPCA reviewed this application yet. I just want to clarify, they are aware of it, but correct me if I'm wrong, they don't actually do the review, the cost and fee until the building permit process. So they don't have a opinion yet on the information for the
Would
application.
that be received before the approval of the project? Sorry.
Sorry, I could answer it a little too.
Right.
So I spoke with Mr. Piazza at the WPCA a number of times. We submitted the same flow information to him that we submitted to Aquarian. He said when it gets submitted to zoning, we're aware of it. They had no problem with the discharge. He basically said once we get to construction, there will be a connection fee. It's based on the gallons per day. It's quite sizable. And they will review it at that time. So it wasn't, we submitted early on thinking we had to go to WPCA, maybe a meeting. He gave no indication of that. He said submit to zoning. We review it as part of the application. I don't think they've had comments, but we are aware we have to go to them before construction should this get approved.
And so, my question was, that would be part of the process, that we would get that information before zoning makes their final determination? No.
No, that's part of the building permit process.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
They're aware of it, and they would raise any issues that they would.
If they had. All right, all right.
But they don't, until they have the specifics of the project with the building permit, that's
Okay.
when they do their
All right.
analysis.
This is Mark DeVoe. He's the recently retired planner in Plainville. And we were concerned enough about the public's concern about the handling of the so-called carryout water that we undertook an in-depth research project using large language model AI, using every resource we could at DEEP, and they reflect on that in their message back to me. And we identified every car wash in the state that was located in an aquifer protection area. And I happen to be a planner as well as a lawyer, so I know all the planners. So I wrote to all the planners in the towns that had car washes and aquifer protection areas. And I said, please tell me what you do with the carryout. Every one of them said that it's treated as parking lot stormwater, essentially. And that's what DEEP is saying as well. So one of my friends for how many decades? Many decades, popped up first on the list. And just a year ago, they had a car wash just like this one in Plainville on aquifer protection area. And one of the things that Mark DeVoe brings his resumes in the materials is he was on the advisory board to the development of the manual that's used in protecting aquifer protection areas. So I asked him in just a couple of minutes' time, because you've got all of the background. He and I had an interview on the phone. I've given you a transcript, in-depth details of what happened in Plainville, because I didn't want to take your time tonight to have all that. But the short version is he's going to tell you about what they did in Plainville, just what, a year and a half, just a year ago, and how that ties in with what the intent was in the manual at DEEP on which he was the advisor. So thank you, Mark. Thanks for being here.
No worries. Thank you. Mark DeVoe, Town of New Hartford, former Town of Plainville land use planner. I hold a current certification in aquifer protection area management as well as wetlands. So I haven't quite gotten out of the game yet. I'm really here to answer any questions you may have regarding this carryout issue, which seems to be of major concern to the public. I can only mirror what's been said by Brandon and by Dwight. The carryout water is simply not regulated. The rather robust stormwater management system that's been designed by Brandon is, in my opinion, more than adequate to handle any contaminants that may be coming off these vehicles, not only with regards to the drip, but just the contaminants that come off of vehicles in any parking lot, which is what we know could contain hydrocarbons, oils, heavy metals. So this is a very standard treatment process, the hydrodynamic separators, and the final residency in the detention areas. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So I know the public's been very concerned about this, so the cars are being they're rinsed off before they come out, they might be dripping, but that will go on, they'll be cleaner than most of the cars on the road, from what I can
Correct.
understand. But all of that will go to the hydrodynamic separators, and then that goes to the water quality basin, where it'll be finished by the plant. I mean, the
Correct.
plants that are in there will
Right.
help reduce it before it gets any further.
The renovation in that water quality basin will work wonders on any, and I can't think of a concentration that would really be concerning,
Yeah.
but we'll work on, any of that drip water far easier than it will the other contaminants that come off of the cars just sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah,
So, would there be any real material difference between the carryout water going into the stormwater versus if this was like just a parking lot for a normal business?
I mean,
Anything of concern there?
the residual was considered by DEEP in the calculations when they developed these regulations. They had no concern about it. And just to add, I spent 11 years working with DEEP during the development of the Aquifer Protection Act. So that was not really in the resume. So the act in 2006, I was fully involved in that throughout its development. So, no, there was no contemplation of the drip water, none whatsoever.
Thank you.
And with your facility in Plainville, was there any concern that the water from within the facility could ever get outside the facility?
No, I think the issue is, of course, in Plainville's case, there were some grades. So they had to take special care to make sure that the blow-off was, maybe a little more robust than normal to get all the water off the vehicles. And the blowers today do a fantastic job in doing that. Ice in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So that was really the only concern.
And that stays within the facility, goes to the collection area,
Correct.
and then that goes to the sewage
Water pollution
treatment.
control
Water
facility.
pollution, yeah.
And Plainville had no issue, we had the capacity, and it was no issue in terms of permitting there either.
Is there a standard percentage that is used for the carryout as a function of the water that is being used as to how much is actually being treated? Does that?
No, the carryout is insignificant. Again, it was contemplated, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I know that they said it's insignificant, but I'm wondering how they got to that number.
can't tell you that.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I don't think they really developed any specific ratio or ascribed any number to it, other than, indicating that the car is rinsed, the soapy material is rinsed off of that vehicle, it's then blown, and whatever may be left is essentially inconsequential. But I don't believe there were any calculations.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through my logic, and you tell me like where the error is. So I can imagine that that's true for any sort of, rain, any kind of situation, but in a system like this, which is constantly washing at 32,000 gallons a day or something like that, then the question of whether it's 0.5%, 0.25%, and as you are integrating this over the couple of years where it's ending up in Saxon Brook. So that's what I was concerned about, and whether there's, and it doesn't seem like anybody has any idea what that number is. So, that's sort of my logic, whereas it's different. So is there anything wrong with that particular logic?
No, I understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
And again, I think that we always look to renovate stormwater on the site. I believe this stormwater ends up in the detention. Go, please.
Again, Brendan Hanfield. So the east side of the site ends up in our small catch basins and then goes to the water quality basin, which is vegetated. Drove through there today, it's well vegetated. The west side of the site goes to the basin. The east side goes into the underground system. The east side does not get the carry-out water. So all of our storm water is collected on site, goes through those deep sump catch basins, and ends up in the water quality basin before it goes to Sasko Brook. So there's multiple layers of treatment.
Okay, so I guess I missed that part. So when it's going into the water quality treatment, that's a heavily vegetated area, and you're expecting some amount of cleanup at that level before it goes out to the water system. And so how much volume can that handle, that whole system?
So that system was designed as part of the original development. It's a sizable depression off the parking lot of that apartment, and am I grabbing that for me? I don't know if my aerial was far enough for you, but I can go to this here. So this is the basin here. You can see the parking lot all around it, the apartment building. And so all that basin is designed for everything in green. And you can see our tiny little area here. We have less impervious surface draining to it than the original approved development, and it's designed for full build-out of the original PAD. So it's a sizable basin, and we're a very small fraction of it.
Okay. And so I guess another way to calculate that, this is, given that whole basin and how it was originally approved, how much total water usage was in that particular area? It sounds like you had a lot of water that was going to those for the different buildings. In this particular application, you're just using it all in car washes, but there is a lot of other cars going to be parked there, et cetera.
So in terms of 32,000 gallons a day, which will likely be closer to 20 to 25, if we use the conservative 30 to 40% reclamation. So it's again a small percentage of the water that does get carried out. In terms of gallons per day, if it is 10%, that's 2,500 gallons per day. People don't wash their cars when it rains. It's not 10%, I'm just using easy numbers. 2,500 gallons per day on a dry day. It's not that. The system is designed in cubic feet per second. So if you look at the difference between a gallon and a cubic foot, 2,500 gallons per day is not something we would use in a stormwater calculation. It's a very small amount of water that we wouldn't use in the design of a stormwater system. We use a much greater volume of rainfall. So even the smallest storm we designed for, again, 1.3 inches over that entire green area, would be an enormous enormous amount of water compared to a very small amount from the carryout.
Okay, thank you. That's good scaling, so thank you.
I just want to clarify, there's been no studies on any of the towns where car washes are as to this carryout water, because I know the material I read, you know, from the various towns, the road references, they're basically, one of the towns, I think Bolton said they don't even test it. You know, so how would anybody know about that? And I know the other thing too is, to me, that is wastewater, but I think we're
No,
gonna
it's-
dive into semantics and legalese, but,
When this question was first raised, I did a very deep dive. I do a lot of research and writing
Great.
in my work. And there is not a single analysis available that I can find on what the water is. Everyone seems to agree that it is virtually fresh water because it's just rinse water at the end. Everything else is captured. The volumes also, you've asked questions about volumes. There's nothing really definitive on that. But one of the things that's, I mean, it could be 1 or 2 or 3 gallons. And what happens is, I can't believe, I didn't think about this in law school, that I'd have to be an expert on carryout, but it gets in the crevices of the car. And most of the water that's on the car, in the car, disappears from the site when the car leaves. It goes down the road, the car shakes, it comes out of the crevices around the hood and the door and every other place where it's trapped and it can't be blown off. So you can't say that it all stays on that site. It doesn't. And when we go and look at car washes, we see a little wetness for 10 or 15 feet out, and a lot of that is evaporated. A lot of the loss is evaporated. So it's not only small, but most of it doesn't stay on site to begin with. But the question is a great question. It'll make a great study for someone to go out and do an analysis of what's in that water, but everybody accepts the fact. Yeah, well, the DEPA said that too, that as far as they're concerned, it should be treated as parking lot stormwater.
And the water that's used to rinse the cars is
It's
fresh
clean.
water?
It's
Or is it recycled water?
in a sense, it's even better than clean water, because one of the One of the curious things I learned in this process is that car washes ionize the water so they don't leave spots on the car. So it's very clean water. It's potable water, beyond potable water.
Is there a drying agent in the water?
Is there
Is there a
what?
drying agent in the water?
No, I don't
No.
believe so. We could ask we could ask the car wash operator for that, or Plato's here. I don't know who can respond to that. I don't know about drying agent.
Just-
Rob would know about that.
Huh?
I think Rob would know about that. I don't know what
The drying agent is
Yeah,
applied.
Joe, why
Or you
don't
have to
you
go up and
go up
say
there,
aye.
sit down. This is Rodney Goldberg and his son Joe.
That's me.
They have one car wash in Colchester. Joe's generation has taken over. Joe and his
Well, not
brother.
yet, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Dad won't let him take over completely. But Dad, Joe and LaRon, and I've worked with them for years, and we spent years finding a site. This is the best site in the valley that we could find. So they're running the car wash. They've got one car wash in Colchester. It's a hands-on operation. So tell them, are there dryers in the water or
So
not?
there's drying agent applied, but then there's fresh rinse water after that.
So the
So-
drying agents, just explain how the process works. So the car goes in, it's soaped up,
Yeah,
the brushes and all the rest. I
Yeah.
don't go to the car wash.
yeah.
And then there's.
And then at the end, there's a drying agent that's applied, and then there's 2 more arches that put fresh rinse water.
So the final thing, before the car comes out, there's no drying agent, it's just fresh water.
Yes,
So the drying agent and all the soap chemicals go into the storage units within the building, and they go to the treatment plant.
well, that's engineers. But. Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, all right.
Yeah.
So the final rinse is
Fresh,
fresh Class A drinking water.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, we do not have public hearing tonight, so,
So a question about the process again? What's the purpose of the drying agent before the?
It just helps move the water off the car. Of the currents.
Where are the blowers
Yeah,
in the process?
well,
The blowers are after the drying agent and then the rinse.
Drying
the
agent, rinse, blowers.
Blowers, yeah.
but like, but okay, so if you put, so this is what I was getting at, it's just a process question. You're putting the drying agent on the car, and then but the purpose of that drying agent is to actually improve the shedding of the water that comes afterwards.
Yes,
So while there's no drying agent in the actual water, it ends up being that there's some amount of drying agent that would end up in the carry-off. Is that the term? Because if the water's coming off with it, then there would be some amount of that, even though it's not installed. Is that a correct interpretation of the process?
The blowers, when, the blowers are at the last stage?
the blowers are the last stage, yeah.
Right, but look, if there's water there's some small amount, no one knows, but it's the extra water that's left on the cars after they leave, which is what we're talking about being dripped around the place. That water, even though the water applied was clear, there was a drying agent applied to the car beforehand to help with the sheeting action. So you would expect that some amount of drying agent chemical would be in that extra little bit of water that people, no one has any idea how much that is, but that would be a true statement that there's some amount of drying agent in that. Correct? Is that a correct interpretation? Sure.
Plato, come up here and sit, have a seat. Plato's an LEP. Yes. Plato Dudalakis is LEP. We engaged him on this issue of the carryout. And he will tell you that there is no study as to what's in the carryout. He could speak to the drying agent, which he just, in a side conversation, said to me is the same thing we use in our dishwashers, apparently, in our houses.
The rinse aid in the
We
dishwasher.
need to bring some closure to this.
So,
So his credentials are in the record for you, too.
okay, so yeah, my name Plato Dundalakis, and couple of things to remind you. You mentioned that the rinse aid was put on the car. Well, so was soap. All the detergents are put on the car, and those are rinsed off also. The rinse aid is something to increase it's something to do with the surface tension. So you see the way water beads versus runs off a car. It's to shed the water, like you said. And so it's a thing that's used in dishwashers. Also, the things that we drink, it's small amounts are used. I'm not a chemist to tell you exactly how it works. I just know about the surface tension properties. But when you say it's sprayed on before the rinse, well, so is soap, or the waxes, all these things are put on. The last thing is that rinse. And then, of course, the final rinse, because I've watched this, I've been doing this now, working on car washes for over 30 years. Stormwater and wastewater discharge from truck wash and car washing operations. So the final thing is the rinse water. Now, you're wondering if any of the rinse aid is on there. I don't know whether, no one's ever tested that. I don't know whether any of that's on there, but it's such a small amount. And DEP would tell you, when we say de minimis, we're talking about less than a gallon, less than a quart of carry-out water. What drips off the car is even less in the short stage before it drives onto the road and down and out of the aquifer protection area. But we're talking about, let's say, if you want to say a quart of water, and I'm not sure what the amount of water used on this operation would be, but it's typically in the 10 to 20 gallons. So we're talking much less than 10%. We're talking about like 0.2, 0.3%.
Sure. I mean, we all know that the carryout is a small percentage, and there's, because you're rinsing everything afterwards, anything that was on beforehand, some small amount is gonna get there. And I was just clarifying what the procedure was, because I wanted to fully understand. I just didn't understand the role of the drying agent in the beginning of the conversation. And now I understand that is to help with the sheeting action of the water. So like everything else, the soap and everything else that's being rinsed out, there is some amount of contamination in the water unclear how much, because no one knows how much the carryout is, and nobody knows what's the percentage of these things are in it. We all know that it's standard, and that you can do that stuff, but that was just a clarifying point.
Yeah, and the other way to look at it, because it's just to use the right terminology, you say contamination, some people use pollutants, it's substances, because what's coming out of this in the water, we just detect substances. We don't know where they came with the water, where they came from the car. Remember, some of these cars are going in dirty, so some of the stuff that's coming off the car is from the car.
Yeah, I understand your point. The substances are in there. When I was thinking about water
Yeah.
versus anything that's not water is a contaminant, but it's a substance, and your correct term.
Yeah, it's just a terminology.
But it's still, it's very, very small amounts. I will give you that. That's very small amounts. All I was trying to do is understand the real process in detail, and you've been able to answer that, so I appreciate it.
I also have a question. We're worried about the trace water and all that, that's fine. But there will be a large volume of chemicals and substances on site, I'm assuming, because we've already talked about rinse agents and soap and detergent, and I think there's wax, Simonized wax. How is that stored? Because that to me, any leakage from that or any of that toxic material, I mean, we're over a protected aquifer, a Class A aquifer. I would find that very concerning.
So I can tell you, I haven't seen this operation yet because it's not built, but the way
That's not
the way this is designed and the planning is they have an equipment room which stores the chemicals.
Okay.
You see a large quantity. I think we're talking something like 8 drums total, and 2 to 8 drums. And we say drums, some are 35-gallon, some are 55-gallon drums.
Yeah.
So besides the LEP, I'm a hazardous materials manager. And one of the things we deal with hazardous materials especially is oils. Now, in this case, there's no oil, so there's no reason for a spill prevention control and countermeasure plan. But when it goes for permitting under the car wash permit, it's a wastewater permit, there's a requirement for a spill prevention and control plan, which we've already talked about we'll have to get for this facility once it's approved. And that addresses the spill containment, the response, and how chemicals are stored. So all these chemicals can be stored in a building that has a floor that slopes to a drain, and that drain goes to sanitary sewer in case of a release. The chemicals are therefore stored in secondary containment. The building is secondary containment. Within that, the chemicals are sometimes also stored within another secondary containment. And that's all put into the spill prevention control plan, which hasn't been written yet because that's the next phase of the process. But that is a requirement.
So if I went around to Sparkle, right? Car washes, I wouldn't find like drums outside, or I wouldn't find things being stored haphazardly, or I wouldn't find, something like that, like, these drums lined up outside the facility or anything like that?
Full drums, you mean like
Yeah.
processed drums?
Yeah.
No, you should never have a
Well, I know I
processed drum
shouldn't, but
outside.
I'm asking the question is,
So I I do the permitting and the consulting for 4 or 5 of them right now. And no, I've never seen a drum of processed chemical outside. As a matter of fact, the transfer is done inside or directly into a loading dock. So the chemicals are never stored outside. But either way, you answered the question.
And the empty drums are not stored outside, they're taking away from inside the building?
The way when we write a plan, all empties are stored inside a building. You never store an empty outside the building. It's taken outside for pickup,
Yeah.
but not left outside. It's not, empty drums are not supposed to be exposed to precipitation.
Okay, they're sealed?
Sealed, yeah, exactly.
I think you're alluding to the Granby Car Wash submitted some photographs as part of the zoning commission, and staff got a message from me this afternoon. Plato and I talked about it. He went to the site. Those photographs aren't taken on the site of the car wash.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
I'm telling you,
Directly adjacent to the car wash.
It's not on the side of the car wash.
You
I'm a
guys-
lawyer
that's
with
how you store your chemicals?
Excuse me, we're not accepting public comment. It's not a public hearing. We're not allowed to.
I have a particular ethical responsibility to be direct and honest with a tribunal, which you are in this case. I'm a lawyer. We've investigated it, and I can tell you this, as I said to staff today in a memo, I don't know if you recall, if you did get a copy of it, I think that I sent to George. Number one, the stuff that was submitted by a competing car wash includes pictures that are not taken on the car wash site. Don't,
Excuse me,
don't,
I'll gladly leave. I've heard enough lies.
the drums that are there are empty. They are owned by the car wash. They happen to be on another site. And rather than send them to the landfill, Rodney said, let's do the right thing environmentally and recycle them. So he put the empty drums out there, and the contractor that was required to pick them up didn't come to pick them up, so they accumulated. And they'll be gone in another week because they went back to the contractor, so.
they were sealed.
Hmm?
And they were sealed.
They were, well, you saw them too,
Yeah,
so,
the bungs were put back on all of the drums. They were
Yeah.
rinsed before they were put out there. That's the way, the common way to do it.
yeah. And there were a lot of them because the guy didn't come and pick them up when he was supposed to. So Rodney was trying to do the right thing by recycling them instead of sending them to the dump.
So the drums were rinsed, they were sealed, the bungs were put back in, and then they went to
Yeah,
go
And
recycled.
they were empty. There were a couple that were upside down and opened to the air and got some water in the bottom, but just a couple out of, I don't know, there's gotta be 25 of them there or something. Anyway, so,
So part of the process for this, that will not be happening at this
no,
site.
well, as I said to staff, there is no there's no outside storage
Yeah.
of this proposal.
Yeah,
And
I'm
there-
not seeing any on
There
our
are 2
site.
to 8, there will be 2 to 8 containers from 30 to 50 gallons that are in the secondary containment of the building, and will also have additional containment around them. And the contract provides that the person delivering
We'll take,
the replacement takes the old container with them.
okay.
So whatever difficulties have been down in Colchester in handling that ability, that attempt to recycle, that's what's so irksome about this. This was an attempt to recycle, and somebody dropped the ball that was supposed to pick them up and didn't. So it's Colchester, it's existing site, no on-site storage in Simsbury. The containers will be removed when they're replaced with fresh product to operate the car wash.
Can I point out, one of the reasons why this happened is, the car washes aren't regulated, so they're allowed to have drums outside. There's no law saying they can't. When I saw them, I told Rodney, no, you don't do this. I appreciate you trying to recycle them, but if you had a stormwater permit, and he's not required to have one, then we would tell you, don't store drums outside. DEP doesn't like it. It just doesn't look good. They store, stuff starts collecting on the top. But his thing was, Bilford Barrel, a reputable company that sells recycled barrels, would pick them up periodically, and they didn't. But at this point, I said, keep them inside and don't do this again. He goes, well, we don't have any place over there anyway. And not only that, he's not going to do it in Colchester anymore either. He's done recycling the barrels. Instead, they'll go back to the company and they grind them up or something.
Okay.
Can we get copies of the safety data sheets for each of these products that we're using?
Sure, yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
I do have a question. You're talking about the carry-out water and other chemicals. Has there been any study that you know of that looks at just cars on the road? And when it rains, I'm sure they.
What comes off?
Lots of bad stuff come off, or substances, as you say. Has there been any study on normal traffic and what comes off the cars?
Well, that would be the road. And whether it's coming from the road or the tires or the the vehicle itself, the dust on the vehicle. I can tell you, what I know about this is that a lot of it is the dirt on the vehicle, the dust. You see it on your car, that black stuff that's all over snow. And that stuff is exhaust, ground up road, and believe it or not, tires. But the runoff is our stormwater. Everything, the studies are done every day when we do our stormwater runoff. What we don't do is just take a dirty car and put it on and capture all the water from a dirty car. I've never known them to do that. They look at the whole thing.
So a car just driving down in the rain, that all that icky stuff washes off,
Yes,
and it goes right into a storm drain, and it goes right into a water.
exactly. Without going through a treatment wetland or
That's
like
what I
that.
thought.
Yeah.
So Don got to where I was going with this, comparing this site to if it were standard retail. All right, we'll use that one. If it were just a standard retail site, you would have dirty cars in the rain periods of time. All that dirty car drippings would end up in this stormwater management system. On this site, because it's a car wash, you have dirty cars under presumably dry conditions, because I don't wash my car in the rain. I don't know anyone that does. You have them getting washed in a facility that contains all this dirty water, sent it to the treatment plant, and they drip a finite amount of substance on their way out. I mean, I don't think it's possible to get to zero substance in water coming off of cars. But to me, it sounds like the water coming off the cars on this site is going to be far cleaner than water coming off cars that would just be parked there in a rainstorm or driving through in a rainstorm.
Exactly. Well,
That's where my thing, I mean, I'm happy to hear anyone's counterpoints to that, but that's how I see it. I mean, I don't think we can get to perfect. But the runoff from the cars on this site I see is improved versus any other site that has car traffic or parked cars. I mean, we're collecting the dirtiest water coming off the cars and treating it at the sewage treatment plant.
Well, I mean, look at Big Y, right down the street. That parking lot's, 4 or 5 times the size. And the rain, just go right into the storm drains. Treatment.
Yeah.
It's also why the non-point source pollution studies have said that you need to wash your car on your lawn or on your gravel driveway rather than on your asphalt pavement, which then goes down to the storm drain, because they're dirty.
So I know the thing I'm most concerned about personally when it comes to car chemicals is 6 ppdq, which we talked about in previous applications, that comes out of the tires. It's terrible when it gets into our water courses for salmonoids in particular. On this site, that is going to be pretty much universally contained in the treated water, which is better than pretty much any other site I'm aware of. Most sites, that is going to go into the treatment basins, may or may not get treated out, or directly into water courses. On this site, it's getting treated.
One last thing from, about the chemicals that are used, will these be low phosphate soaps that are used? Because I know our treatment plant takes out some of the phosphates, but
Let me double check. I believe that you'd be very, I don't think I think they're outlawed, but we have to double check on that. I think they've been discontinued for that type of use.
There is a document in the record from Simon Eyes as to the products being used.
yeah.
And there will be MSDS sheets, obviously, when they get to that point, that have to be in compliance, so.
Yeah.
But I'd take a look at that Simon Eyes letter, because
Yeah.
the questions come up again and again. There's PFAS in this. There's no PFAS in any of the materials that are used. There won't be, there isn't going to be. Simoniz has certified that. It wouldn't happen. So
No, I'm just worried about,
she's asking
about the phosphates.
About the phosphates in particular.
Which are, of concern when they get to the
Yes,
sewage
yes.
treatment plant. Some of them get removed, but
My understanding
yeah.
is that it's taken out of almost all of that type of soap. There's very few places that use the phosphates
Good.
anymore.
All right,
But
good.
we could double check to see about
Yeah.
this particular product, because I haven't gone through that. You know more about it?
I don't know, I'm not a chemist. I just want to reference, I spoke with Mr. Piazza at WPCA. I didn't say this before, but one of the items he said is that the chemicals used or the products used will be low phosphate or no phosphate products. So he already said that is a requirement to discharge to his sewer.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Most sanitary sewers have that, and Simoniz, they wouldn't sell a product that has phosphates anymore.
Good.
Very few companies do.
Good.
Right. I actually do have a PFAS question. I read the Simoniz letter, and the letter does state that its products don't list PFAS on their safety data sheets and aren't intentionally formatted with it. But the letter says on its own second page, quote, that it is, quote, not a certification or trace level laboratory analysis unless such testing has been done, unless such testing has been separately performed. And at least my review of the record is no such testing appears. And I know that there have been state environmental agencies in Michigan and New Hampshire who have both documented PFAS contamination in groundwater at car wash sites. In one case, it was more than double. So that's a little concerning to me because a lot of the information, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions here, so I don't want anyone to get up and yell at me, but it seems to be we ask a question and it's like, well, that hasn't been tested, but it's probably going to be okay. And then, there's no PFAS. Well, the letter from Simoniz itself says that safety data sheet shouldn't really certify that there aren't trace elements in there. Well, to me, it's extremely concerning that this is going to be built over a Class A protected aquifer that 1,400 or more people in Terrafil depend on for their drinking water, and it's like, well, it should be okay. I'm still very concerned about it. I think this PFAS thing, that stuff is everywhere, and we've all have it running through our systems. It's concerning to me. It says no such testing appears anywhere in the record. There have been documented cases of PFAS contamination in groundwater. Granted, it's in Michigan and New Hampshire, and I know you can say, well, it's not Connecticut, but it has been documented. As a matter of fact, it's one of the few things that we're talking about here that has been documented. So I just find it all very concerning, and I feel that to me this has actually raised more questions in my mind than I get it about the carryout water. I've let that go. I've set it free. But the rest of this is just I'm just not thoroughly convinced that this isn't going to be a problem over, people's drinking water.
Can I respond to concerns, please? It's fairly new in my career, but I'm a PFAS expert now. And I've been doing PFAS plans now for the past year. So what's been going on, to answer your question why Simoniz won't test their product, is because the water they're probably coming out of the tap has got the PFAS in it already. They don't add PFAS, but you can't test water without finding it. You said that PFAS is running through your blood. It's probably at a higher level than what's coming out of the car wash. I tested a car wash in Simsbury for PFAS, not in the drippage, not in the rinse water, but in the soap that came out of their their separator, so their wastewater. And it was less than 3 parts per trillion. Where did that come from? If you test the groundwater anywhere in Connecticut, you'll probably get about 5 parts per trillion, just from the surface groundwater. So that level, was one of the lowest levels I found in all the car washes, happened to be in the one at Simsbury. We're finding the PFAS, not in commercial car washes, as a matter of fact. That's not where I'm finding it in my tests. So you say where we're testing it, these are actual real tests, not tests of groundwater in New Hampshire beneath, something like that. So if you look at the levels that I'm seeing of 3 parts per trillion in the discharge, that's coming, directly in the soapy water. The rinse water, if it was at that level, a quart of that going into the storm water, I think that's less than what you'd find in your rainwater coming off your roof right now. Unfortunately, that's one thing that the DEP is finding. It's virtually everywhere, especially in building products. But Simonize has a hard time saying, well, we don't want to test the water because they're going to find it. They're going to find 1 or 2 parts per trillion. We could surely do that if you'd like, because I think we're probably going to find 1 or 2 parts per trillion. That's the way PFAS works. And that's the level we're at, is parts per trillion.
Thank you. That also raises another question. So this facility is going to be open for, 12 hours. Maybe it must be me.
Is it,
Anyway, so this facility is going to be open from, 7 to 11, or actually it's open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., right?
Correct.
And 2 hours, so from 5 to 7, no one's there. From 9 to 11, 8 to 11?
7 to 11.
7 to 11, that's even better. So for 6 hours, nobody's there. Just people pull up, it's the self-serve, they drive in and out. So that water's treated the same, because nobody's there on site with, capturing the wastewater in that? They go into a self-serve and spray the car down and leave?
Now, the engineer could, but the self-serve car wash happens inside the covered garage.
Yeah.
So they're not doing it outside, right?
No, I don't,
Okay.
I mean outside the main drum.
Yeah.
And then my other question would be, who is there monitoring all of this during the course of the business there?
Maybe Rod might be able to answer that. Joe or
Wait, who's
Rod?
monitoring what?
Well, who's in, so I go to the car wash and all these beautiful systems are in place. Everything, looks great on paper and it's all there.
Yeah.
And who's there making sure that the stuff is functioning correctly? And I don't mean the washing part, I mean the recapturing part and the filtering part and all that. Who's there all day doing that?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean by recapturing?
Okay, I think you're missing my point. My point is, this facility's open for, 17, 18 hours, 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. And there's supposedly all these wonderful systems in place. Who's in charge?
There's someone there.
You're saying who's there during the day?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm usually there at our Colchester location and
Okay.
plan to be here in Simsbury. Me or my father, my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of the permit that they have to get for the wastewater, there has to be an operation and maintenance plan, and a spill prevention control plan, and training. Just so you know, I do that, and I'd be training them.
Well, I know, but you do everything.
I'm a certified hazardous material
Yeah, I know
manager,
that. I
so
respect
that's how I do that. I'm a qualified professional. So it's not that I do everything, that's what I'm trained to do.
Okay, I'm not arguing.
Well, no, I'm just saying, that's when you said who does that, I'd be training him. He hasn't been trained yet to do that, but it's a permit, it's called an O&M plan, where they're supposed to make sure that the machinery keeps working.
Well, I'm not worried about the machinery, I'm worried about the stuff in the water, the wastewater. So is that, when you say the machinery, that's included in that?
No, okay, actually, the term is the wastewater gets treated in a system, and he's supposed to be trained in how to make sure the system is operating, so it's not overflowing, that it's operating the way it's supposed to. And there's only a couple of different things to check in a system like that.
And and that goes for the self-serve stuff when the place is dark? I mean, it's not dark, but it's, no one's there, it's just,
Unmanned.
it's just unmanned, thank you. When it's unmanned, that, you know, the self-serve systems as well, but nobody's there, the place is unmanned.
So the drainage water all goes through an oil water separator, and the oil water separator isn't watched continuously.
Sure.
It's every day that's supposed to make sure that the oil water separator is still not clogged and still running. So it's not something that's, after hours, I don't really know their operation, that's something that Joe could tell you about.
Operation right now, or operation?
Well, I mean,
Simsbury,
it's
I'm talking
operation in
about.
Simsbury,
It's gonna be 7 AM to 7 PM.
Right.
Every day.
Is it
And
24 hours?
It's not gonna be 24 hours.
Oh,
No,
that's
I
what you
mean,
asked for,
But
right?
this facility is 5 AM to 11 PM.
Yes,
Right, that's
yes.
correct.
Right, so from 5 to 7, and from 7 to 11, that's 6 hours. It's unmanned.
Right.
So I could just pull up with my car, do my thing, and who's there to say that, you know, the system's functioning correctly at that time? You know, I mean, I think there's 6 hours where it's unmanned.
Alarms, right? And Rodney, it's got alarms, it shuts down if it's fit. Rodney, this is Rodney Goldberg. Let him speak to these issues.
That's the tunnel loop.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
What would you like me to answer?
Well, the same question I've been asking, so the place is open from 5 AM to 11 PM.
Yes.
And it's manned with an operations person who's been trained from, what, 7 in the morning until?
7 a.m. till at least 7:30 or
Okay, let's
8
say,
p.m.
all right,
So,
7 to 7:30.
correct,
Then I've
yes.
got from 5 to 7,
Yes,
nobody's there. From 7:30 to 11, nobody's there.
correct.
Okay?
Yes. Yep.
So people just drive in and out, you know, so I would show up, wash my car. Who's to say that all the systems are functioning correctly because there's nobody
The
there?
the system are functioning, the systems are checked daily. The
Okay,
drainage is
right.
checked daily,
Right.
yes.
But is there any automation that checks if there's a plug, or is it's inspected daily by the operator?
Correct,
Oh.
by my sons or the managers, yes.
Right,
Yes.
but there's no particular automation on the side in case there's a break or anything else.
There-
It's checked daily.
Yeah, there really doesn't need to be. you
Right,
know,
but that's the
it's-
status.
It's drainage.
Right, so you check daily.
We,
But-
correct, and the preventers maintenance is done.
Right, but there's no automation to check for a break or anything else. It's just checked daily.
See, the
I
treatment
don't-
system is just a drain pipe. So so there's no mechanical things, but I think what you're asking is if it clogged.
Yeah.
So if the toilet clogged, there'll be no one there to see the water backing up.
Right.
That's probably right.
That's the
That's
question I
usually
asked
the case.
17 times and
Been in the
everybody's
car
been-
wash business
Well,
32
I
years,
think you
never,
can
never,
understand what you meant.
never.
I think they were talking about the big machine and these other things.
No,
You're
no,
talking about the
no.
toilet clogging, right?
Charlie got it, you got it from Charlie. That was my question.
Yeah.
When people aren't there and the thing clogs
So-
or it goes.
That's the only thing
into
that-
flow.
So is your concern that if someone's going through the self-service, that their water will drain outside of the building?
I'm
Is that,
just-
would that
well,
even be
I
possible?
I think that's what he said.
I wanna know what's gonna happen if something goes wrong.
So let's say someone drove up
Yeah.
with a truck full of sand and dumped the truckload into the catch basin, clogged the catch basin. Or a roll of toilet paper down the catch
Yeah.
basin, it's clogged. And then washed their car.
Yeah.
And then someone else came and you had like 5 or 6 cars, you might get 200 gallons of
So-
it spill over the top.
so-
That is I don't
So
even think it's a possibility.
on the Colchester
That's
side,
not
we
real,
have
yeah.
32 cameras, and on this side, we plan to have 48
Yeah,
cameras.
and what are, for when you're doing self-serve, it's not the same chemicals that you're using inside, on the long, with all the machines and the dry agent? What kind of, what-
Yeah, the drying agent is the same.
is the
Yes,
same? So,
yes.
but when you're doing it yourself, you're putting on those things, or?
It gets injected. no different than a tunnel. It's an injected process.
Okay, so you spray your
The
car.
amount of drying agent per vehicle is a half an ounce through the tunnel. In the self-serve, it's way, way, way less.
So, but,
I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, in the tunnel, it's a half an ounce per vehicle, drying agent.
yeah, but on the
That's-
self-serve, the people just spray their car, rinse it, and is that how it works?
Yes, so they come in and they can pre-soak it and then, foam brush and then rinse it
And
off.
it all goes down
And-
into the
and-
drain.
And when they go to rinse it, there's, it all goes down into the pit.
Into the same storage area that the,
Eventually
and then
goes
goes
through
to
this,
waste.
the same
Yes,
treatment
same
system.
treatment system.
And to let you know, I have seen, because I've been around a long time, truck washes where that catch basin is completely covered, that's why I used that example, completely covered with mud. Someone just went four-wheeling and washed their car off. But it's the kind of thing, and then of course, what do you have to do? You just gotta call someone over to suck the thing out. It's not usually, I don't see someone washing 10 cars and then having the thing overflood typically. But I've seen, in the 30 years out of the car wash, you must have seen that too, where someone does something really nasty and drops it in the self-serve.
So we.
And then an hour later, his son shows up and calls up with that.
Correct.
I'm guessing that's what you typically have to do.
But that was interesting, because you did say that there are cameras that are observing this stuff on a regular basis, but they're not connected to anything in particular alarms. You would just use them the next day to check to see what happened. 'Cause
So,
everything's made.
no, during the evening, it's myself, my sons, and a few managers that monitor.
Okay.
We monitor them
Okay.
frequently, yes, throughout the night, yes.
Yeah, so I don't, so Marjorie, I don't think it was that I was concerned about anything in particular. I was trying to understand the
Yeah.
operations.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to, it would all go down to the same,
Right.
yeah. But I did have one, I really appreciate that you use native plants for your site, that's really good. There's only one, I was curious about the Pacific Brilliance oak pin oak, it didn't seem particularly native to the, but
sorry?
that's.
It's
on
the plant
on
choice, the
plant
pin oak
choice.
that was
On the-
chosen, it's a
on the-
Pacific
yeah,
pin oak
It
rather
was
than
just, the native plant varieties. I really appreciate that you chose native plants for this site. And
Yeah.
just one of them said Pacific Brilliance, and it just didn't sound like it was an East Coast tree.
It's a variation of a pin oak.
Yes, but it's an Eastern, it doesn't sound like an Eastern one. Why not use the Eastern one? I mean, it's
Because
great.
it has a because it is native, it's from a derivative of them. Hi, I'm Biff Scheckender, I'm a landscape architect, I'm licensed in Connecticut. The reason, it's a very, if you notice on the, can I go to that now?
Yeah, please.
No, but you finish your questions.
No, no.
We're last.
I am last.
If they're done with these gentlemen, you can go.
Thank you.
So, we want to end on a, it's nice, sit down.
I'm not used to sitting down, this is long.
I gave him 2 minutes.
All right.
So, and I said at the outset,
I can do it under two.
I said at the outset that, we got 100% native plants, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And Biff's done a spectacular job, I gotta tell you. One observation of this whole discussion that just occurred, number one is that we're seeing an enormous increase in the demand for car washes. And that's because more and more people are living in apartments and condominiums, they can't wash them at home. But in this aquifer protection area, everybody that lives in there that wants to wash their car in their driveway can wash their car in their driveway without any control of what they're putting on their car and without any control of where it all goes, which doesn't make, two wrongs don't make a right. But the fact is that there's an environmental argument to be made in behalf of car washes that gets us some control over what we're putting in the water column through people self-serving themselves. But the best part, besides the architecture, which is not in your jurisdiction, but which is spectacular, is the landscaping. So tell them, Bill.
So, right now, the site's totally turf grass. Oh, thank you very much. Is this on? Great. Interestingly, we also inherited a 43-foot piece of the A, this is the A site, or F site right here, but we get a 43-foot already planted landscape buffer between Hot Meadow Street, and we augmented it by adding an evergreen tree in here and some mountain laurels and a bunch of broadleaf evergreen shrubs to hide the dumpster enclosure here, but also we added them to augment an existing planting here as well, so that when people were lined up here, it blocks all the headlamps and helps with, we've also augmented it for noise attenuation. So we have large street trees here to mirror the trees that we're planting.
This is a perspective from Hot Meadow. It's not in the record, but we'll give you a copy.
This is from Hot
That's what
Meadow.
he's speaking
So
about.
you can't see our dumpster plan because of the mature evergreen trees that are here and then the augmented evergreen planting we're doing. So we have mature trees here to mirror the trees here. We have a tighter situation, so we have trees that grow to 40 or 45 feet, but like the pin oak Pacific Brilliance, the nice thing, nurseries have gone, because I think the type of sites we get now, they have a whole array now, not only of natural plants, but also columnar trees that don't spread as much, are tighter, but they can still grow and provide street shade. So the great thing about the Pacific Brilliance, aside from its name, is it's a pin oak, but instead of the downward descending branches, they have upward branches, so you don't get the conflict with cars and pedestrians with them. So basically, on all this, we have 232 plants in here, of which we have 18 deciduous trees and 1 evergreen tree here. We also have 158 shrubs, a lot of them with, I'd say the vast majority of them are pollinating characteristics within their broadleaf evergreen, and then we have 55 ornamental grasses, and we have very little grass compared to the fact that the whole site's grass. But the turf lawn, we have a nice mix. Planter's Choice makes this great mix. That's Kentucky bluegrass, fescues, and ryegrass. It takes up at least 30% less water once it's established to maintain. It's a great movement going on in turf lawn seed mixes as well. So
but get back to the Pacific. Is it a Pacific tree? I
no,
mean,
it's a name for it's a cultivar of the pin oak.
It is, but of the eastern pin oak.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
I
got
can't-
nothing to, why were they calling it Pacific? Goodness knows, okay, all right.
Marketing
so-
is out of my league. I
Why
can't
would
even
that
market
be?
myself.
No,
I'm
I know,
marketing trees.
so.
No,
I mean-
but it's interesting. Well, also, if you want to get in the argument, and this is something I think you should be aware of and you're run into, we're starting to see, there's about forest creep. And so I'm seeing, and also nurseries are carrying stuff that I didn't see 40 years ago. And sadly, I've been in the business over 40 years. I'll probably look at too. But the point being, now they have not only the great variety, but also things that we wouldn't consider native to Connecticut, but are native now because they're native to Pennsylvania and the Appalachians, but they're here now. We grow sassafras and yellowwood and all these other things that before you wouldn't get commercially in a Connecticut, especially northern Connecticut, in a nursery
No,
40 years ago. So you're going to be
Native
involved with what's
adjacent.
native and
Native
what isn't.
adjacent,
And
yeah.
then you can run it by Connecticut. The Ag Extension put out a great document. I'll send it. I know I send it to planters when they tell them, but it basically documents all the plants they're using in nurseries in Connecticut, and highlighting if they're native or not, if they're threatened or not. If they're native, but they're not native to Connecticut, if they're native to the East Coast or the Appalachia or something. So you get this thing, and what we consider native, it's a great movement of nurseries, but what we think of as native is migrating right now and mutating even as we speak because of climate change.
But but my concern was with that particular one, because what a strange name for an East Coast plant. Because I know some of our East Coast plants run amok out in the Pacific, and some of the plants from the Pacific run amok here.
It's like people call the green giant arborvitae native, but that's a Pacific plant.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
And who knows what will happen. All right.
that's it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you for the presentation. And thank you for the thought that went into this presentation. So we have, unless there's anything else we want to ask, we have the opportunity to make a, what are the three, no action, or positive referral or negative referral
Correct.
to the thing. And
Or if you want to just do recommendations, possible conditions, things like that. I mean, it's so vague in our language. It just says be referred to Conservation Commission. if there's anything important that you want to make sure that the zoning commission is aware of before they vote.
Well, I do have one question for the engineer. What is, I'm sorry about that. What is the condition of it right now? It's just all grass?
Yes.
So it's just grass with a storm basin in the middle of the grass?
The
A catch
storm basins
basin.
are actually between 18 inches to 24 inches above the grass.
Okay.
So right now, they were built, I think, for Walgreens to fill the site and have a flat site. And at the end of it were these catch basins that they put up in the air. So I did the inspections of them. We will have to change the tops, but they're suitable.
And what is the condition of it right now? Is it in good shape? I mean,
Everything's in good shape. The southwesterly basin, they knocked out the top to allow the surface water to get in. So we do have to rebuild the top, but that's the one we're going to rebuild anyway to make a deep sump. That's the only basin that has to be reconstructed. Everything on the east side of the site, very good shape. We might just have to change a riser to a 3 foot
Yep,
instead of
that's,
4.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
So on one hand, we do have, this is I think a well-thought-out plan. There is a great deal of concern. I do agree that, the non-point source pollution always references car washing. Car washing in people's driveways or on parking lots. If it's, an apartment building, that is going to go down into the storm drains, whatever they're using. And that is something that non-point source pollution is always saying, do not do, wash it on the grass, and that's next to impossible for a lot of apartment buildings. So, as far as the carry-out water, it's rinse water. I mean, it's not, I don't think DEP does not recognize it as a problem.
I don't think you can get to 0 on it, but
No.
I think it's as close to 0 as you can get.
These the cars-
Carry out is far cleaner than
The cars that
the
go in,
car sitting in a parking lot.
getting rained on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the products being used to wash the cars are appropriate and environmentally safe,
And if
a
the,
tiny bit of carryout shouldn't be an issue.
no, and if the water treatment, not water, the sewage treatment plant is okay with those chemicals coming in. I mean, the drying agents from dishwashers go there, go into our septic fields and go into the water and into the groundwater. Any of the carryout water is going to go to the water quality basin eventually. I think we've crossed the Ts and dotted the Is.
So the question is what is supposed to go back to zoning from us? Is it just a yay, nay, or are we listing the things that we talked about and then how we got to our conclusion of one or the other?
I think we can do anything we want.
Okay,
Yeah.
what I would propose is we heard a lot today on sort of the process, the minimization, what's the scaling of it, like compared to other things. We ought to sort of get that into a summary paragraph and be able to send that back. So I think that's like our action item for the next meeting. And, because I don't think we can do it right now.
We do have a meeting before this goes to, before zoning, September 9th meeting, correct, Brittany?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we
Yes.
can have something drafted, review it, edit it,
Right.
add more thoughts to it at the next meeting.
And then basically state back to zoning, this is what we heard, this is what we talked about, this is why we reached the conclusion we reached. Send it back to them.
Yeah, and if there's outlying concerns that we still have after, we can add that to that.
Yeah. So that's the reason I was asking, Marty, if you're trying to, like, I would, I heard a lot today, and I was pretty happy with all the answers, but I still think that there's a statement about how it is we got to our conclusions at the end that should be documented. And we should, maybe have time to talk about it.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, one of the, sorry, Jason, go ahead.
I do think something you mentioned earlier is get an ingredients list.
Yes, I was going to mention that as well.
Because if we see anything glaring on there,
Well, we ought to do it treated, whatever you're doing is still a true statement. But I think we have to understand, we just have to understand this and what the limitations of that discussion are. And that goes back to the scale discussion. How do you compare this to something else? It's interesting to me that we, some of the real details we've been talking about, there is no data on any of this. This is how we got to the problem with PFAS being and everything. But that's not the responsibility of this particular applicant.
No. And I think, it's also, we should commend zoning for giving us the chance to
Yeah.
review this.
Definitely.
Because that doesn't happen as often as we would like. So, it gave us a better feeling for what this project was or is proposed to be, and get to ask those questions and hopefully give the public some assurance that we are looking at these things seriously. There might be disagreements with the conclusions we reach, but we are looking at the answers and the science and trying to figure out, is this the best we can do?
That's right.
And just, I've heard a lot about this project over from planning and from all the public comments. I guess one of the things that keeps coming up is the actual water usage from Aquarian, and I guess they still really haven't gotten back. They said the developers 32,000 gallons. They said, well, can we
That was a concern.
look at it again?
Yeah. So
So, I mean, if Aquarian says, okay, this plan is good to go, we can supply the water,
yeah.
I guess
If
they're,
Aquarian says okay, if the fact sheets come back okay, and if the water treatment, the sewage treatment plant comes back and says this is
Okay.
okay. I mean, those are that's why we go through this process. is
Correct.
To make sure that these projects are
yes, we should get like MSDS sheets for all those cleaning agents. Because I had a tough time trying to find it, but the letter from Simon, I said, these are the products that are gonna be
Yeah, I
used.
looked.
There's about a dozen.
yeah.
They should be on their website too, but it would just be nice to have them.
Correct.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I thought I saw somewhere I saw in this packet today that they did seem to have some type of MSDS sheets. I don't know where I saw that, but it would be nice to have. Here are the 12 things cleaning agents we're using, and here's an MSDS sheet
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
So,
Keep in mind with the SDSs, the part about aquatic toxicity, I believe, is optional.
Yeah.
So you still need to, just because it doesn't say anything, you still would need to go and look at that separately aside from the SDS, since that is an optional thing for them. And obviously that is very pertinent to what we're doing.
yes, that's the
So
whole
don't-
reason for
It
doing
is, so it's very confusing, because some companies are really good and put it on there, you have like the broken fish.
Yeah.
But just because you don't see that, you have to actually go and look
Yeah.
separately, so.
So we also learned about the containment system within the building and the issue about the drums, and whether or not they're recycled or but they're taken away, so that was addressed. So a lot of the concerns that were brought up, we heard explanations for. So, Brittany, how do you want, do you want to take a draw?
Yes, I will categorize what was brought up in the discussion. I'm trying to think if I go so far as to say positive or negative referral, or do you just want me to outline what was discussed and then
I think you should outline what was discussed, and I think then we need to go through it and discuss it and then decide, vote on whether it's a positive, negative, or neutral.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah,
Yes. Please.
And there was a public hearing on all this, and those comments, I think, are in, I didn't get through all of it. All the public hearing comments are in the.
Yep. Yes, and there is also correspondence that was sent to Conservation Commission that we added as well to the Dropbox. So all the comments have been updated, have been uploaded.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all of you attending tonight, and thank you for the information from the applicant. All right. And on another Conservation Commission business, I just want to remind you, if anyone started their inland wetland training,
I finished.
yes,
I
yes.
have finished.
I'm just gonna,
I won't be doing it until September.
all right, but I just want to keep it on our agenda because I hate to get to January and,
December 31st, man, you're
right, so,
I did mine.
thank you very much, thank you. So just, thank you, September, you guys have started.
Done.
Done, excellent, all right, good, because I don't want to lose any of you.
I don't know, we might race to be the last one done.
No. Do one a week, you'll be done. All right, so on to item 7, designated agent actions and other reports.
Okay. I have two items tonight for reporting out. For the first was a in-ground pool, approximately 71 feet from the soils on 3 Gregory Lane. I did communicate with the owner, like we discussed before, ensuring chemicals are not stored in the regulated wetland area and to follow best practices for treatment of pool water when drying down for the season. And then lastly, 15 Vining Drive had a permit to install a geothermal unit in the upland review area, approximately 6 inches in diameter and 400 feet deep, 30 feet from the wetland soils.
So on the pool, on the pool conversation, are those handouts that you're giving people, or?
So it's an email right now.
It's an email?
Yes, yes.
But
So
it exists as a PDF that you can send people as a reference?
I don't have a reference, it's just sent to the pool company and the homeowner.
Okay.
I don't know if I have if there's a handout that someone.
So this works really great. This is a great lead-in. One of the things I would like to do when we're not busy, solving world hunger, is I'd like to look at like the documentation that we do for conservation issues.
Yes.
And make sure we institutionalize this and get it into things that we can hand out to people. I'm particularly worried, Marjorie, about like if for some reason you lose your voice and you're not here to like really go after people on the natives. We want to institutionalize all that. Yeah. And we should get those into documents.
And I think that's what we're going to be doing, getting it into the zoning regulations and getting it in.
Much of this will be, but things like the pool, so they can, if there's best management practices that, like so for instance, the recent applications we had for the banks, the brook banks, we produced a one-pager that I can now send to people. So something like that as well for pools, and we can think of different categories.
Which is what I really want to do. I know there'll be a case where putting things into regulations, probably or whatever. But when we're handing things out to homeowners about this stuff, it's that discussion. So every time that we're giving a talk to an applicant that's here, we're telling them, let's do this mowing 12 feet away from the base.
The buffer.
If we're saying it more than 3 times a year, it should be in a piece of paper.
Yeah. Well, we do have the invasive plant guideline.
Yep.
Which has been flying off the shelves at
So
town hall.
we need to reprint. We need to reprint those.
Yes.
But maybe the town would like to help with the Simsbury Land Trust do that. And then I'd agree. I thought we used to have something about pools.
We always talked about it.
Yeah, but we'll get one.
And so we don't want to solve any of this tonight, but sometime when we're bored,
Yeah.
other things to do, we should work on this. Make a list.
On one of those quiet meetings. Yes. Yeah. We'll get something together, PDF. If anyone wants to take that on, that'd be good. But if not, I'll take a stab.
I don't know anything about
What? Pools.
I'll take a look at it.
And draft something up.
I'll do deep dive
Lovely, lovely, good. And then,
deep end of the
right,
pool?
and then put it in a PDF.
and just stay there, man.
In the
Yes, I
deep
would,
end.
I'll take a look.
Thank you, Joe. And then we're going to be working on the native plant.
Yes. Yep, that's part, gonna be
Yeah.
part of that.
So, and, I mean, there are
landscaping plan.
there's some, wonderful books out there now.
Oh, yeah.
Yukon has a great, even if we got them that, yeah.
It all
Can't
goes-
print that one out. That's really,
It all goes back to our educational
Yes,
part that
yes.
we've always talked about.
Yeah.
It goes into parts of what we're trying to do for the POCD and all this other stuff, so.
and maybe we have one where we tell people not to wash their cars on their driveways.
We can do that too,
Yeah.
but.
I mean, the non-point source pollution, actually, there is a lot of information on non-point source pollution. One, there are a variety of things, picking up dog waste and washing your car, and there are a whole lot of things about there's some really good brochures out there, so we can get that.
Yeah, I did, listing of these things, and that was all stuff that was going on the website. All I'm basically saying is that we need to
Yep.
institutionalize our messaging.
Yeah, and some of that's already done, and we just have to find it and
Right.
print it out for ourselves.
Yeah, copious free
Good
time.
idea, Jess.
And just on rodenticide, I want to
Oh,
thank Brittany.
rodenticide,
She's
too.
gonna be talking to the appropriate town staff about.
Yes, my plan is to ask them to provide a memo just of their use, any policies, their thoughts on that, and then from there, we can further the discussion.
Yeah, and I did find out the second town that did pass something, it was Southbury.
Okay.
So it's Newtown and Southbury both have
Good,
something on the books.
good.
Can I-
So,
I know, I can't say anything except I cannot hear anything. And can you just speak up so that I can
yeah,
hear?
yeah, these mics are terrible. So we're looking at a list of different brochures, PDFs that we can hand out to anyone who comes in for an application or permit. So things like how to maintain a pool so then they're not draining it into the wetlands, rodenticide, non-point source pollution, native plants, invasive plants, things that we have on hand to be able to hand out to the public as education. Non-point source pollution. So if you have a factory and it dumps something into a river, you can follow up where the pollutants are coming from to that factory. Non-point source pollution is what's coming from our driveways, our roadways, our pests, our farms, our anywhere. It's
So
not
it's
one place. Non-point. It's source pollution.
Okay,
So, yeah, you can have point source pollution or non-point source pollution.
okay, thanks.
For reference, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Charlie.
Yeah, can you hear me from there as reference?
Right now?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Just,
And I heard you about the PDF.
okay.
just out of curiosity, behind Gregory, where it says Great Pond Road, Town of Simsbury, is that wetlands or is wetland soil? Or?
It's wetland soils and it's owned by the town of Simsbury.
Okay.
Yes.
'Cause I know it's
I'm
kind of,
not-
it's always been kind of swampy in there,
Yep,
so.
yep, that's where the wetland soils are.
So actually, what we can do is come up with a list of different PDFs we want, and maybe, Charles, you can be the point person on that, so that you can keep track of what we've done and what we haven't done.
In
See how I'm
September.
delegating tonight, I'm just like,
In September.
Oh, September,
We'll
you
be
gotta
here
take your
soon.
training.
We have one more meeting before
October.
September.
I thought, once I'm in September, I am good.
all right. Well, that's fine, because we're not gonna do it
Yeah, no,
before
I know.
then. So, all right, so, but that way, we'll have multiple people working on these things. Good.
Beautiful.
Anything else tonight?
Motion, we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good. Thank you.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community, ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings, and celebrating milestones.
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions, and it's no secret
People have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SEM receives less revenue.
Even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
Continues to educate our youth.
And keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SEM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SEM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SEM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
For generations to come.
Visit our website
Or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
Counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media.
where your town
Your schools and
And your government
come together.